Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you are new, welcome to my channel. I am Jamie Beth. Today is Fridays, and what do we do on Fridays? We tell a scary story and put on some makeup, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Today's story is going to be about the Amityville Murder House. Now I know a lot of you guys have probably heard of this. Everyone probably has heard of Amityville horror movies. We are going to start at 112 Ocean Avenue in Amityville, New York. The story starts off in 1924 when a husband and wife bought a plot of land and built their dream home. When they passed away, their descendants sold the home to the Defoe family. The Defoe family is the family that we're going to talk about right now, because that is the family of the infamous murders. I did prime my face already. I don't know why I did that off camera, but I did already prime my face. So I'm just going right into foundation. The Defoe family consisted of 7 family members: Ronald Sr., his wife Louise, and their children, Ronald Jr., Dawn, Allison, Mark, and John Matthew. The oldest, Ronnie, or Butch as his friends would call him, was a very troubled child. When they moved in, he was around 23 years old, and he just could not find his place in life. Like, he just didn't know what he was supposed to do in life. And he would get into very heated and angry arguments with his father. His father and him had a very tumultuous relationship. His father didn't make things easy for him or anyone else in the family. His father was a very domineering and very abusive man. So Ronnie didn't have any positive authority figures to learn from. And his mother was kind of a wallflower. All she was, she kind of just was very timid, very kind of stood back in the background and didn't really get involved too much. Because his father had such an overbearing and abusive personality, Ronnie grew increasingly troubled into his young adulthood. Ronnie turned to alcohol and drugs to cope with everything that was going on in his life. The fact that he just could not find a job, the fact that him and his dad were constantly fighting, just all of his, the things that were making him, sad and angry. He lashed out physically and even threatened his father at one time with a rifle. What I find interesting in a lot of these stories that I've read, instead of trying to, discipline or find other ways to deal with Ronnie's lashing out behavior, they decided the best way to help him was to buy him anything he wanted. So to keep him at bay, his parents just kept buying him and buying him things. The only way the family knew how to handle Ronnie at the time was to just kind of give him whatever the heck he wanted. Ronnie even held a job at the family-owned auto dealership, but he rarely ever went to work. On November 13th in 1974, it wasn't unusual for Ronnie Defoe to leave work at noon because he was just bored and didn't want to work anymore and meet up with some friends at a local bar. Well, that day, he was constantly calling his house to no answer and complaining about it to everybody in earshot. I can't get a hold of my family. I can't get a hold of my family. Nobody's answering. No one's there. He eventually left after he, consistently tried to call his family and nobody answered the phone. 6:30 that evening, he entered the bar again, frantically shouting, "Someone shot my mom and dad." Him and a few other people went back to his house. One of his friends called the police. The police arrived. The police entered the home to find that the whole family has been murdered. His mom and dad were shot twice. His siblings were all shot once. Later on, it was said that his mother and one of his sisters were actually awake when they were killed. There were a couple things that didn't quite add up. There was no sign of struggle present on any of the bodies or evidence that any of them were drugged, and no neighbors were woken up to any noises other than the family dog barking. Of course, Ronnie was taken into custody and questioned on what happened, what went on, what's going on, why is your family dead? And he told them that the killings had been carried out by a mob hitman by the name of Louis Bellini. However, in an interview at the station, soon exposed serious inconsistencies in his version of the events. His timeline didn't match up. His story kept changing. Just stuff was not adding up. And the following day, he did confess to carrying out the killings himself. Once Ronnie confessed to the murders, he was quoted as saying, once he started, he just couldn't stop. It went so fast. He admitted to taking a shower, cleaning himself up, and disposing of the blood-soaked clothing that he was wearing, as well as getting rid of the murder weapons. And he actually did all this before he went to work that day. So when he went to work, and so the timeline of when he went to work and when he went to the bar for the afternoon and was trying to call his family frantically and no one was answering, he had already murdered them at that point. So he was just trying to create an alibi for himself. The Defoe's trial began on October 14th in 1975. And his defense lawyer mounted an affirmative defense of insanity. Isn't it crazy how whenever somebody whenever somebody kills another person, their first thing is to plead insane? Like, isn't it crazy how the first thing that happens after someone murders another person is they try to plead insanity? It just seems to be like the popular thing to do. It's like, oh, I did something really terrible because I'm crazy. It just seems to me that that's the excuse everyone makes when they get caught doing something horrible. Of course, because he wanted to plead insanity, a psychologist was brought in. The psychiatrist for the prosecution maintained that Ronnie was an avid heroin and LSD user, and they did have an antisocial personality and was aware of his actions at the time of the crime. So he knew obviously exactly what he did. We all know he knew exactly what he did. On November 21st, 1975, Defoe was found guilty on 6 accounts of second-degree murder. On December 4th, 1975, the judge sentenced Defoe to 6 sentences of 25 years to life. As of November of this year, he is still in prison. So he is still being held in a prison in New York, and all of his requests for appeals and paroles have been denied. So over the years, Ronnie has changed his story quite a bit. Once he claimed that his sister was the one that killed everyone, his older sister, or not his older sister, but the oldest sister, Dawn, went and killed everyone. And then he claimed that his mom did it, and he was just trying to take the blame for his mom because he didn't want everyone to hate her. And then it came down to demons were whispering in my ear and telling me to do it. The home was haunted and dark forces were all around me. Whatever the truth was, there was no going back. The Amityville mansion was now a notorious murder house. So now we have come to the part of the story where a new family, now they have to sell this crazy house where these murders happened. And, who's going to buy this house? Who really wants to live somewhere where that kind of, bad energy is? But lo and behold, they found a family. They found someone that was going to buy it. From the things I've read, the furniture and the beds and everything that was the Defoes were still in this house when this new family moved in. So this new family, although, the crime scene mattresses and stuff like that, everything from the crime scene was removed, the bed frames and furniture was still in the house. So this family was using bed frames of where these people were killed and the furniture that belonged to these people, which I just found a little disturbing. Like, why? Like, you don't have your own furniture? Why are you using these people's belongings? The family that moved in purchased the home at next to nothing. I believe it was something like around $80,000 or some very low amount. Anyways, the family that purchased the home was George and Kathy Lutz. When they moved in, they followed the advice from a family friend because obviously they were very well aware of what happened in this home. So they had a priest come out and cleanse the home. As it turned out, having the home cleansed didn't really help much. Well, according to the Lutzes, it didn't really help much. There was no way of knowing what the Lutzes claimed actually happened, but one thing is clear, they got the heck out of there after only living there probably a few weeks, I think. It wasn't very long that they lived there. So it's sad that they had moved out so quickly they didn't take anything with them, but I really don't know what actually belonged to them because from, again, what I read, they were using all of the Defoe family's stuff, which is so creepy. Anyways, they were so freaked out and so upset and so distraught that they moved clear to the other side of the country. They moved to California. People were just like, why? What happened? What was going on? What's the story? So then they started telling people what happened. The couple claimed soon after they moved into the Amityville house, strange things started happening and they got increasingly creepier as the days went by. George Lutz started hearing voices, just like Ronnie supposedly did, hearing voices like demon voices. He heard random knocking noises. Doors would allegedly slam on their own, and other creepy stuff like that would happen. Kathy Lutz also said that she discovered a secret room that wasn't in the original house plans, and also that this room was painted red, like blood red. And it all finally became way too much for them to handle when the wall supposedly started oozing some type of slimy green yucky stuff. I wonder what type of crazy drugs they were on when all of this was happening. Well, after the wall started doing this creepy thing, they decided, yep, we're out of here, we're leaving, we're done, we're just leaving, we're walking away. They never went into detail, of course, on what exactly happened, but they also never returned to that house in Amityville. Again, they left all of their belongings there that I don't think really belonged to them anyways, and put the house back on the market. Even though the Lutzes left this house, they didn't actually leave very quietly. Everyone knew their plight. Everyone knew about what happened to them. They were very, very outspoken about it. Because they were so outspoken and talking to everybody about it and, you know, telling everyone their story and how all these crazy things happened to them, they got these paranormal investigators, the Warrens, Ed and Lorraine Warren, involved in this as well. The Lutzes were asked to take a lie detector test because their claims were so outrageous. They were asked to take a lie detector test. And because they had so many people skeptical about the things that happened, I mean, come on, green ooze coming off the walls. People just thought they were trying to make a quick buck off of exposing this house for something that it really wasn't. So the paranormal activities that the Lutz family experienced served as an inspiration for some books. Of course, the Amityville horror movies. There's, again, a whole bunch of them. Go ahead and watch them. I think the only good one is the first one. Many of the owners of the home's been owned by quite a few people through the years. They haven't moved out because of paranormal activity. They've moved out because of how popular this house is and how much attention and tourism this house brings to the community, and people, you know, are constantly taking photos and stuff outside the home. So, you know, I can totally see how that can get annoying for people over a long period of time. None of these people that have owned this house since the Lutzes said anything about any paranormal activity. So Lutzes were probably just not able to afford the home, and they got out of it the best way they knew how, I guess. Doesn't take away, though, that something horrific did happen in this home. A family was killed, you know, and children were killed. And it was just something that didn't need to happen whatsoever. And it was all due to somebody with some serious mental issues. I don't even know if I would want to live in a house that anybody was murdered in. I don't know. You tell me in the comments below if you would ever buy a house knowing a mass murder happened in that house. I just think that is so freaky that anyone would actually really truly want to live in this home. There is a new family that did purchase the home in 2010 and they have lived there ever since. They did change the address as well as modify the way the home looks, including changing the famous windows on the home, which are like these creepy looking half moons. They are now just regular square windows. They're trying to change the home in a way to stop people from coming and taking photos of the home, and so they can live in the home peacefully and happy. And they've also claimed that they have not had any paranormal activity whatsoever in the home. So again, I don't really know if the Lutzes, if those things really truly happened to the Lutzes, or if they made it up because they just couldn't afford a house that they had purchased. They just purchased beyond their means. So I don't know. Either way, it is a crazy thing, and it was a horrific thing. It's a crazy situation for them, but a horrific situation for this poor family whose lives ended at the hands of a family member. I hope you guys enjoyed this story time and makeup. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Remember to hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't already, as well as the notification bell next to it to be notified of all the upcoming videos. Thank you so much, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!